Hey everybody, this is Mr. Devine, your teacher librarian, and Miss Whitney sent over this presentation on book choices that you all get to choose from, and I looked through all of them, and they all looked great, and it made me want to just make this brief video where I go through each of the choices, maybe talk a little bit about why I liked each book or why what I enjoyed about each book, a little bit of it. This won't be a super complete, well thought out video. I apologize in advance. It's just me seeing a list of books and being excited by how cool that list is. I don't want to give you the impression that I'm a person who's read everything in the world. I have not. There's so much I haven't read. I have piles of books at home that I haven't read yet. I'm a slow reader, so it takes me a while to get through books. But these books are my jam. I like reading these kinds of books. It looks like you have a lot of sci-fi type books. I'm into that. I like that stuff. So I have read these books. So let's see what we got. Literature Circle book choices. Oh, you have Artemis. I really liked Artemis. It's the second book by Andy Weir. He also wrote The Martian, which I liked. You might remember they made a movie about that, where a guy got stuck on Mars and he had to figure out how to survive and everything. But Artemis is really cool. It's set on the moon, and there's this cool character, Jazz. She is she's like an engineer type of a person. She can build things, she can fix things, she can hack, she can code, but she's a welder, which is kind of cool. We have the welding project on our site. And the thing is, it's on the moon. So it's like this isolated place. And what Jazz is noticing is like there's some organized crime happening on the moon. And on the planet, on Earth, it's one thing. Like, we can survive if there's organized crime. It's going to be hard, and there is organized crime, but it's not like life-threatening. The organized crime on the moon, they're controlling things like oxygen and being able to breathe. And it's really cool to see how she fights back against that. And I like it. And she's got a cool relationship with her dad and other cool things about staying alive, saving the whole moon and everybody there. I loved it. It was fun. Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This one is one of my favorites. Like in the past 3 or 4 years, this has got to be one of my favorite books. It imagines that in the future, artificial intelligence has solved everything. Like people don't even need jobs. They don't need to grow food. They can just live without having to really work. And they can also, when people get old, they can like recycle their consciousness into a new body and be young again. And they can like have multiple lives almost, and have multiple families, and live for potentially hundreds of years, and maybe for longer than that. And Scythe imagines, well, we've got overpopulation now. What are we going to do with one thing we can't solve is all the overpopulation. Because the artificial intelligence is not allowed to kill people. So who gets to have the power to kill people and reduce the population? The Scythes do. It's so cool and creepy that that's the solution that they pick in order to reduce the population. Certain people in the society are picked to have the authority to kill. They call it gleaning. And it's like cutting someone down forever, and they cannot be brought back to life in a new body like everybody else can when they die. It's like a permanent death. And it's part of a trilogy. I loved book one. If you just want to read book one, read book one. It's awesome. I've also read book two, and I've also read the third one that came out last year, book three. It's a really cool trilogy. I liked it a lot. And I just love the idea. Scott Westerfeld's Uglies is really cool. I think it says a lot about our culture. Like there's this character, everybody in the society, once they reach a certain age, they go under a surgery. They take part in a surgery that makes them pretty. And the thing about the surgery is it doesn't just make your face pretty or your body pretty. It makes your mind pretty and your thoughts pretty. And it's a really interesting statement, I think, about our world and how appearances matter so much to us, that it can change how we're supposed to think and how we're supposed to, or how we're encouraged to think and how we're encouraged to act, and how we're not supposed to get too deep into things and keep things on the surface level. So Shay, the character in the book, has to decide, is she going to be a pretty, like, is she ready for that? Or is she going to fight back against that? Which nobody is supposed to do, but she starts to notice some cracks in the system. And so it's really cool how and this is part of a series too. So if you really like this idea, it goes on. And I enjoyed it. This was one that I read a long time ago, like maybe 10 years ago, but it still sticks with me. I like that idea, that kind of dystopian future. So, Uglies. Dry. This one Neil Shusterman wrote with his son, Jared Shusterman. One of the things I like about this is it's set in Southern California. So if you are familiar with like the LA area, and kind of inland away from the coast, you might recognize some places. I really like Dry because it's so connected to what it's like to live in Southern California. We're dry here. It doesn't rain a lot here. We don't get a lot of water. And Dry imagines a future where water is scarce. It's hard to get water. It's just a hard thing in life. And one of the other states that are near us, because we get most of our water from the Colorado River. If you don't know, almost all of our fresh water comes from the Colorado River. And what if one of those states further up the river decided, we need this water for ourselves, you can't have it anymore, which is kind of what we did to Mexico, by the way. The United States uses so much of that water that it used to flow into Mexico, and we've kind of kept it for ourselves. This is kind of imagining, like, what if other states did that to California? But to a much bigger degree, because it's going to impact so many people because populations are so huge right now. So Dry imagines that's cut off. How does society respond to that? And it's pretty crazy. Like, you imagine people that are building up stockpiles in their homes of supplies and everything. Like, how do they survive? What if people aren't prepared? What do they do to survive? We need water for so much in our life. What if it was gone all of a sudden? What if we didn't have access to it? What would we do to survive? It's really a cool story. I liked it. It was suspenseful. It was fun to read, because I'm like, all right, this is what they're going to do. And they go to try to do it, and then something happens, and okay, this is the way they're going to solve the problem, and here's how they have to fix the situation. It's just suspenseful and fun to read. I had fun with it. Couldn't put it down. I hope you like it. Oh, The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I had not read anything from Octavia Butler for a long time. She's a super famous Black female sci-fi writer, and it's hard to get noticed as a sci-fi writer if you're Black. It's even probably harder to get noticed if you're a woman. Octavia Butler is an icon when it comes to sci-fi writing. And I hadn't read anything from her for a long time. And I thought, well, why is that? How come I'm only reading from these white guys? Let me try to read from people that aren't white and aren't guys. So I read some Octavia Butler, and I loved what I read. And then I decided to read Parable of the Sower. I hadn't read it yet. And I heard from people that, oh, it's a classic. It's one of her most famous works. Seriously, I just finished reading it, and then I read the book that came after it just in the last few weeks. Like, it's December 2020. I just read this in the last few weeks, and I might have a new favorite book. Seriously, I love this more than any other book on the list, and it might just be because it speaks to me, but I loved Parable of the Sower. It is set in 2024, so kind of recently, like contemporary. Like, she wrote it back in the late 90s, but she imagined what the future would look like, and her future was the 2020. So 2024, it's set. Lauren Olamina is the main character. She's a teenager, and society has already kind of fallen apart. People are like in their neighborhoods trying to protect themselves, and they kind of make a little wall around their neighborhood and they protect themselves. And it's all about survival and counting on your community and working together in your community. And um, they have a family. They want to take care of their family, but they also want to take care of their community members. And there are all these warning signs that things are slowly falling apart in society even more. And then some stuff happens to break down the community even more, all the way to the point where it is not safe to stay in that community. And so Lauren has to leave. And there aren't jobs, there aren't resources, there isn't food, there isn't protection, there isn't safety. It's super, super dangerous and hard to survive. And it's also set in, by the way, Southern California again, like the other book we talked about. So she's out there navigating California and trying to travel in California to try to get somewhere that is safe. And it's dangerous, and like it's dangerous to be alone. Who can she trust to team up with? And if she meets new people, are they threats, or can she let them into her group? But all of this, all of that situation of trying to survive, all of that, underneath all of that is the fact that Lauren Olamina has started a new belief system. It's basically a new religion. And she's like this teen, and then she becomes in her early 20s, who's like just trying to survive, and she's trying to start a new religion. She's like, she keeps a journal and she writes down these ideas, and it's so cool to me that somebody who's going through so much has such a strong belief in herself and this belief system that she's trying to share with others because she thinks it will help the world. She believes it so much that it sticks with her and stays by her no matter how difficult everything is going. And she sees some horrible things, like horrible violence, horrible images of death. Also, she has a disorder, a neurological disorder that makes it really hard for her to be around violence and really hard for her to see some of the stuff that the world is showing her. This book is just beautiful. I've read it once. I want to read it again. Like, I plan on reading it again very, very soon. It's just beautiful. I love it. I'm listening to a podcast about this book. It's huge. I love this book. I highly recommend it. But again, just like all of these books, you got to find what you like, because what's really awesome for me will be different from you. It'll be different for the person next to you. We've all got to find the books that matter most to us. For me, I love this book, and it matters a lot to me, and I'm enjoying it. And it might be my new favorite book, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I just love it, though. Oh, Ready Player One. This is cool. I grew up with video games, kind of. My first video game system was the very first Nintendo, like the one with Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario 3. I remember playing Ninja Turtles. I had that game system when I was like 10 years old. I remember we got it for Christmas. And this book like takes me back to those days of that early game system. I didn't really play many video games after that. I'm still not really a gamer. But this book has so much to do with video games and popular culture, like all those references. It was kind of fun for me to see that. So again, Ready Player One imagines a future where stuff is not going well. Climate change has like ruined the environment. So much power is controlled by companies, these corporations that control every part of people's lives. And the main character, Wade Watts, he goes into the Oasis to get away from it all. Everybody in this future, like the world sucks outside, so they go into this virtual reality, the Oasis. They go there for school, they go there for work, they go there for socializing, they go there just to escape the real world. They go into the Oasis and they make that their real world. And this whole book centers around the fact that the creator of the Oasis, this big, huge game, he has died, and he made his game into a contest so that whoever finds these or completes these tasks in the game, they get control over the oasis. So it's not this guy's family that's going to get it. It's not who owns big portions of the company right now that's going to get it. It's going to be the players who play the best, the players who love the game so much. They're going to be the ones that get to own the game. So of course you got regular gamers like Wade Watts and a lot of his friends that he meets. They're trying to complete all the quests. Then you've got these big corporations, evil corporations. They are willing to do violence and lock people up in order to get control of this game. They're trying to play the game. They have to play the rules just like everybody else, but they also have the authority and the power to do some pretty nasty things. So I loved this a lot. It was fun to play it. I felt like I was playing a game while reading it. I enjoyed it. The movie was okay. This is one that has a movie. A few of these books have movies. I thought the movie was okay. It was fun and everything. It was cool to see. I had a lot more fun reading the book than watching the movie. Like I would read the book again. I'm not sure if I would watch the movie again. Speaking of the book, there is a second one out. I haven't read it yet. It's called Ready Player 2, and I'm curious about it. I'm probably going to read it sometime soon. But Ready Player 1, fun book, really cool. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This one is classic science fiction, classic dystopian science fiction. It centers around a person who is a fireman, a firefighter. No, not a firefighter, a fireman. And a fireman, you think, oh, that's a person who's going to save my house if it catches fire. I love those people. That's great. But not in this future. In this future, a fireman is somebody who burns books, somebody who, like, this is a future that hates books. It hates deep thinking, deep thoughts, thinking complicated thoughts, having conflict where my ideas are different from your ideas. This future hates that. They don't want people to have this disharmony and have these different ideas. And what is causing all these ideas? Well, it's the books. Okay, well, let's get rid of the books. And that creates a society, and you kind of get a taste of the society as you read, that is not, it is not human almost. It's just so, like, no substance is there. It's not very deep. People aren't deep. And when you are deep, when you are a deep thinker and you start to question things and you wonder, is this the way the world should be? You get to see how brutal the world can be towards somebody like that. It's a really important classic. It's one of the most important books maybe of the 1900s. So and it stuck around for a long time. Like, even though it was written decades ago, a lot of people are still reading this one, and I like it too. I read it again. I read it like in high school, and then I read it again probably about a year ago, and I liked it, and I still like it. Okay, I've reached the end of the list. So let me go back to the beginning. Thanks for watching this video. I am jealous that you get to read these books and have it count for school. That is so cool. I loved them, and again, this is my kind of book, so that's part of why I feel that way. I hope that you can connect to at least one of these books, and if this isn't your style and you finish this project and you're like, okay, I read one of these books for Miss Whitney and it was cool and everything, but my style is really something else, I totally get it. I think it's really important that you're getting a chance to choose books, because that's the kind of reading you're going to do when you grow up. And I look forward to seeing what you all pick. I'd love to talk with you about any of these books just because I liked them all. They were so fun. And thanks for watching this video, and have a great day.